What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about the 5th installment in the Scream series, simply titled Scream. Before I get too far into this, I do want to say there will be no spoilers here, so no worries on that front. This is just going to be my general thoughts on the film, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, and I'm happy to say I really thoroughly enjoyed this film. I also want to mention that I actually came back just now from AMC, where they were having a fan event, and yeah, there was like a nice little montage about the films that have come before, right before it, with some of the interviews of various individuals who are part of this series, and talking about Wes Craven and the various, people involved with the success of the series in the past. And then at the very end of the movie, there was a Q&A live stream that featured the director, or at least one of the directors, Kevin Williamson, the writer of the original films, who's also obviously still kind of in some way, shape, or form entangled here, as well as David Arquette, who plays Dewey Riley in these films. So yeah, that was really cool to be a part of, and the audience that I saw this movie with was awesome. Made the experience so much more fun, and it was the perfect horror slasher audience to have watched the movie with. Everybody was cheering, applauding, laughing, jumping at scares, yelling, screaming. Everybody was really engaged, and it was never overly obnoxious. Just a few weeks back, or almost a month ago at this point, when I went to go see Spider-Man No Way Home, and I saw the movie twice in theaters, both times, though everybody was really excited and I was able to completely be a part of all that, there was elements and moments where I was like, I wish people would just, simmer down a little bit so we can hear what's happening. And thankfully tonight, it seemed like everybody was on the same page of having those quick moments of some sort of outburst, whether it's a laughter or applause or whatever the case may be, but nobody was ever too much with it, and it felt like the audience was just the perfect audience to watch this movie with. So like I mentioned before, this is the 5th installment into the series, and it's just simply titled Scream. And if you watched the Scream video that I dropped yesterday talking about the original 4 films in the series, you know that I'm not a fan of that. I won't waste too much of your time in this video talking about that, but why not just call this Scream 5? I don't like that they called it Scream. With this franchise being so meta, there is kind of, a reason within the film, and there is something about it that definitely leans into the fact that it's doing that. But yeah, Halloween has done it, Candyman has done it. I'm just not a fan of having sequels in the series that are just simply titled what the original was called. I just think it kind of makes it a little bit confusing. It just seems a little bit lazy, to be completely and utterly honest. But this was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this movie, genuinely. I found it to be a great time, and I'm going to argue that this might be my second favorite Scream film in the series. Now, I say that with a caveat, and that caveat is the fact that the strength of this film, and so much about what makes this film work, really is on top of the shoulders of the events of the 2nd to the 4th. Now, of course, mostly on the shoulders of the original, but I think that if you don't have the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th film, whatever your thoughts on those movies, I know the 3rd one isn't a lot of people's favorites, I think that the impact of certain elements and the characters returning and various things that happen in this film wouldn't be as strong without those other films. So even though I can probably say that I think this is maybe the best made, Scream film since the first one, in my opinion, I do say that with the caveat that, again, I think the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th really help inform the strengths of this film. But yeah, this is a brand new Scream film that does a great job of passing the torch, focusing on new characters that are introduced. All these films would tend to introduce a lot of new characters. Sometimes they're super forgettable, but I think this movie did a good job of introducing a bunch of new characters that were actually likable or engaging, or that you were interested to see where they were going to go over the course of the film. There are a couple of characters that are new here that are not really all that great, but on top of the new characters, of course, we have the legacy characters returning. You have David Arquette returning, you have Neve Campbell and Courteney Cox returning as their characters, and I thought they were fantastic in this film. Overall, I found the performances across the board to be really great. I thought the direction was really solid. This is a film that 110% is an homage and just honors the original films while also being its own thing. It does a great job of being that self-aware thing that Scream is all about. It does such a great job of taking where horror horror is now, and kind of recognizing the fact that we kind of have a lack of slashers these days, and makes a lot of jokes about the modern age of movies, the modern age of horror, the modern age of fandom. And that's something I really enjoy about this film. There is a very nice message about toxic fandom in this film in a very classic Scream, very self-aware way. Again, I don't want to get into spoilers, so I'm going to just wrap up my thoughts really quickly by saying that I think this is a really well acted film that again honors the original film, honors the legacy of this series, pokes fun at itself as it needs to, and it kind of always does in this series, while also telling a pretty grounded story at the same time. In a lot of ways, I found this to be one of the more serious films in the series, and a film that I would honestly say probably has some of the best stakes or the highest stakes in the entire franchise. There's so many moments in this film that have you on the edge of your seat. The audience was reacting left and right, and ultimately I was on the edge of my seat, really gripped to what was going on. I was into the mystery. There was a predictable element when it comes to the killer to some degree, but I do think that the film does a good job of kind of keeping you guessing. We had people in our audience who I could hear that were like, oh, that's the killer, oh, that's definitely the killer, and then it was great to see people proven wrong or proven right, and kind of just see how the audience was reacting to this. This is the perfect film to watch with an audience. Overall, I think this is a film that honors the legacy of not only the Scream series, but the horror slashers altogether. It has a lot of fun poking fun at itself, the genre horror in and of itself, and ultimately it feels like a great Scream movie. Ultimately, the third and fourth Scream movie, though I really enjoy them, are just in a lot of ways sometimes just another Scream movie or just another slasher film with characters that I enjoy throughout it. But when it comes to this film, I think it elevates the material and it really honors the series. So yeah, again, it's kind of hard to talk about everything about this movie without getting into spoilers, but overall I did really thoroughly enjoy it. In terms of the filmmaking elements, the technical elements of how this film was put together, the cinematography, the lighting, the costume design, the set design, the locations, everything about that, the music, all of that was top notch. The kills also are phenomenal in this film. I think that one of the biggest negatives I have about some of the other films in the series is there is a bit of a sameness to some of the kills, just your classic, person stabbing another person. But this film takes those stab kills and definitely takes it to the next level. And there's definitely some really cool, gruesome kills. And I would argue this is probably the most gruesome film in the series. So I really enjoyed being able to see this film being taken to the next level when it comes to the series in terms of its gore and its kills, and kind of moving away from just traditional, boring old stabbings. They do a little bit more with the stabbings, and I think it had a lot of fun with it over the course of the film, and you could tell. My biggest negatives for this film, a lot of that has to come with certain character decisions or certain decisions that they made in the story with certain characters, and specifically around some of the legacy characters. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to get too far into my thoughts. Ultimately, I loved seeing the characters come back. I loved seeing these actors come back to reprise these roles, but there is an element of feeling like I wish they would have done a little bit more with certain characters and maybe not done certain things with others. So I'll leave it at that. That'll be my final thoughts on this movie. If you are a fan of the Scream series, I highly recommend going to check out this movie. I honestly, genuinely don't think you will be disappointed. I have spoken to somebody else, only one person, that said that they didn't enjoy this film, so there's always the possibility that maybe it's not for you, but overall, I really did enjoy it, and I think it's a film that's definitely gonna just put a big smile on the face of many Scream fans, and I highly recommend seeing it with an audience, because if you are a fan of slashers, if you are a fan of horror, this is definitely the film to see with an audience, where you can have that laugh, that smile, that just crowd excitement around the kills and the various things that are going on. And it was just great to see Ghostface on the big screen again, since the only other time that I've ever seen Ghostface on the big screen was when the fourth film came out in 2011, because the other ones came out when I was much too young and I saw them at home. So yeah, that's gonna be my quick thoughts. I do want to also praise really quickly some of the people that were involved in this film outside of the legacy actors like I mentioned. We have Melissa Barrera, we have Jenna Ortega, we have Jack Quaid, we have Dylan Minnette. There's so many others in this film in terms of the actors that were phenomenal in this film. Definitely want to praise again Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. I thought they were really great in the film. And then you have the directors of this film who have to fill some pretty big shoes with Wes Craven having passed away. And so you have Matt Bettinelli-Olpin as well as Tyler Gillett, and I thought that the two of them really did a great job again of honoring this franchise and pushing it forward. In the Q&A after the fact, one of the directors who was there did mention that part of their kind of goal with this film was to make a film that honored the series, honored Wes Craven, while also kind of pushing the story forward, and I think that they really did nail that. Then you have the writers, or the people who are involved in the writing side of things, and you have Kevin Williamson. He's credited only for the fact that he wrote who these characters are, but he was part of the Q&A at the end, so yeah, it's interesting. He must have been involved to some other degree, but the screenplay was done by Guy Busick and James Vanderbilt. So yeah, I gotta praise everybody who was part of the creative side of this. I thought this was a really solid movie, and it kind of feels like maybe we'll get another Scream movie in the future. Who knows? If this is where they end it though, I think it's really solid. I think it was a great return to the series, and ultimately I look forward to whatever they do with the Scream series moving forward. I kind of have this new reinvigorated love for the series, having just binged the older films and now seeing this one, and I actually really can't wait to go back and see this movie again. So that's going to be my thoughts on Scream, the new one, 2022's 11 years after the fourth film. Crazy that we've come this far. A big thanks to you guys for watching. Have you seen the movie? Have you not seen the movie? Are you looking forward to seeing the movie? If you did see the movie, did you like the movie? Did you not like the movie? Answer any and all of those questions down below. But for now, I'll leave you guys. So please hit that like button, comment your thoughts, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.